Namo Buddhaya, Therun Saranai. Hello everyone. Welcome again to our weekly Sunday Sutta readings. I'll have to apologize because my voice is a bit low and cracky today because currently undergoing the side effects of my second jab. It's not too bad, but anyway. So we are once again going to read through the Sabbasava Sutta. And just a reintroduction is talking about all the asavas which are translated as taints, the kama asava, the bhava asava, avijja asava. There is another one called dittya asava, but it is not mentioned in this sutta. And we are right now talking about the second method on how to abandon these asavas, because it is by abandoning these asavas that we can experience the ultimate peace and happiness of nibbana. And we're talking about restraining here. Restraining, just a little recap, is indriya sangvara in Pali, restraining the sense faculties, restraining your eyes and your nose and your ears and so on, and the mind as well. So if you get a bad idea that could lead to a bad thought that could lead to further suffering, that could lead to proliferation on negative things that increase uh, unwholesome actions, unwholesome thoughts, and bad karma, sort of abandoning that and instead giving time for good things to arise. And so this indriya samvara or sense restraint is quite an essential thing to do in the beginning of our practice, because it sort of it has the power to sort of settle down our mind, make it more receptive to information, make us more observant, because our mind and our thoughts, they're not running around all the time from this to that to this to that, and like a headless chicken, which is quite normal nowadays. Like sort of like you see how people are constantly on the phone, just scrolling up and down on Facebook, never being satisfied with what you see, just wanting more and more and more. And likewise with things like food and alcohol and drugs, and these are the heavy examples, but in slightly everyday life, things like constantly scrolling through the internet, or just never being still. So the indriya samvara sort of helps us to settle that tendency down. And when you settle that down, and you restrain your senses, the mind becomes a lot more receptive to basically to the law of the universe, the language of the universe, namely impermanence, impersonality, and unsatisfactoriness of all conditioned phenomena. And this really helps in our meditation, and also in the way we function outside the meditation. So as a layperson, maybe it would help you with your studies or with your job or something. These are all let's say side effects of indriya samvara, but the point of indriya samvara, of restraint, is to make it easier for us to walk towards nibbana, because we need to remove ourselves from these distractions. So to read, I start reading and first pay homage to the Lord Buddha. Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Taints to be abandoned by restraining. What taints, bhikkhus, should be abandoned by restraining? Here, a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, abides with the eye faculty restrained, while taints, vexation, and fever might arise in one who abides with the eye faculty unrestrained. There are no taints, vexation, or fever in one who abides with the eye faculty restrained. Reflecting wisely, he abides with the ear faculty restrained. Likewise, with the nose faculty restrained, with the tongue faculty restrained, with the body faculty restrained, with the mind faculty restrained, while taints, vexation, and fever might arise in one who abides with the faculties unrestrained. There are no taints, vexation, or fever in one who abides with the faculties restrained. These are called the taints that should be abandoned by restraining. So here he's talking about the taints again, the asavas, but also vexation. So there is a certain confusion in the mind of one whose senses are not restrained, because it's always running about, wanting this, wanting that, and just taking in anything that comes without considering wisely what's going on, what is it, and is it beneficial or is it disadvantageous to me? Is it going to cause suffering, or is it going to help me release from suffering? So vexation is the confusion, the constant mind fog that we have sometimes, that stops us from seeing clearly. And the fever, the sort of the fever, it's like being your head on fire, like not being able to restrain ourselves. So for one who abides with the faculties restrained, these things do not arise. Or as we get better and more mindful in our indriya samvara, uh, these taints, vexation, and fever decrease more and more. And this just makes us a more calmful and peaceful life, more effective, more efficient, sort of more competent at whatever it is we have to do, the whether it be the pursuit of nibbana or otherwise, but it is for the pursuit of nibbana. And next we are going to go on to the third method, which is to abandon by using. Bhavitai. This is quite an important factor in Buddhism, about using these tools that we have in the Dhamma. And the following few lines, um, I will read them through. What taints bhikkhus should be abandoned by using? Here, a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, uses the robe only for protection from cold, for protection from heat, for protection from contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, and creeping things, and only for the purpose of concealing the private parts. So this is a little bit of glimpse into the life of a monk. You may have heard in chanting, when we say Patisankha Yoniso Chivarang Patisevami. So this is the part of the daily reflection chant on the four requisites of a bhikkhu's life, how to use them wisely, and only to use it to protect ourselves from the elements, from the cold and from weather and from mosquitoes, but not for and for concealing the private parts, for maintaining our modesty, and not get reported and stuff. So that's what the robes are for. That's why we wear clothes, in order to protect ourselves, not for looking good, not for looking great, not for looking handsome, or looking posh, looking like a whippersnapper, just that kind of thing. So while this is concerned with monks, I guess lay people can practice this as well. And this is part of the reason why there is a tradition on, I guess, the full moon days, where people wear white, go to the temple, and take the 8 precepts. So they are wearing modest clothes in order to just use it for the function that it exists for. And this is a way that lay people can practice this, using the robes, using the clothes wisely, instead of for ostentation, instead of for vanity, for being better than someone, and so on, for showing our status or things like that, and instead for the task that it is for. And doing this little by little adds up over time. And if you think about it, there is so much time that is wasted on wearing clothes. People go shopping for hours and hours and hours and spend all their money on these clothes. And every year it goes out of style, so you gotta get a new bunch. And it's really, really quite silly. It's destroying the environment, and it's just pointless, really. So try and sort of see through this little net, little mask of these clothes and these ostentatious vanity, these displays of vanity. Reflecting wisely, he uses alms food, neither for amusement, nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort, and for assisting the holy life, considering, thus I shall terminate all feelings, without arousing new feelings, and I shall be healthy and blameless, and I shall live in comfort. Again, this is a reflection that we do before we eat as monks. You may have heard it as well. Patisankhayo niso pindapatam patisevami nevadavaya namadaya namandanaya. And when we chant this, it's not just to say it. It's we need to we think about it, what each word means, and what this meal means, what it is for. It is for the purpose of keeping me alive, you know. Lay people can use this as well. It's called mindful eating, and it can help you lose weight. It's quite a, and also to help you lose your greed, because food can be quite a huge attractiveness. So a lot of big intoxication. You know, it's like the the stereotype of a jolly fat friar. It's like renunciates tend to turn to food for comfort sometimes, and this can be a dangerous thing. So to look after our health, to look after the purity of the mind, we consider this. We use food as a form of meditation, which is why it is best for a monk to eat in a bowl, because then we treat it as for what it is to do our job of meditation, our job of overcoming the asava, the karma asava. Reflecting wisely, he uses the resting place only for protection from the cold, for protection from heat, for protection from contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, and creeping things, only for the purpose of warding off the perils of the climate and for enjoying retreat. So that's that's the reflection for using shelter, for using the temple or using the kuti that we inhabit. We consider it as a place of rest, as a place that is for quietness, for meditation, for contemplation, for study, but not for luxury, not for not for showing off, not for that, like that TV show. And it used to be on MTV back in the day called Pimp My, no, what was it? That was the one where the celebrities go around showing off their massive mansions. It's really ridiculous. They have so many weird things. It's so pointless. But for a monk, for a renunciate, our kutis, our dwelling places are for the simple task of letting us live in comfort, as in not in luxury, but keep us warm enough, keep us cool enough, keep away the flies and mosquitoes, keep off the rain. A place of solitude, a wonderful place for contemplation. So this is something we remind ourselves when we enter a dwelling place, to understand what it is for, so that we don't fill it up with useless stuff. Like there's so many useless stuff that is sold on TV for everyone to buy. Like, you have to buy this for your home, or else you're nobody, or else you're wasting your time. You need to get this flat screen TV. You need to get this IKEA furniture, which is without it, you're just a tramp, you're useless, that kind of thing. So not falling for those not falling for those traps. I've got a bed, it's perfect. I've got a chair to sit on, I've got a little meditation mat. Oh, that's good. That's what this reflecting wisely is for. It helps us to simplify our lives, and the more simple our lives are, the happier it is, because the less things you have to worry about. You won't have to worry about your luxury couch being torn up by a dog because you haven't got one. It's pretty nice. Reflecting wisely, he uses the medicinal requisites only for protection from arising afflicting feelings and for the benefit of good health. That's for medicinal requisites. So the not using it to, like, not using, like, I know, fat burning pills or whatever. All those things that you have nowadays, just using it to make us feel better enough to get along, but not taking things like steroids to get muscular or whatever. These are this So it's a little glimpse into a life of a monastic. We consider these things all the time. We do this chanting every day. uh, not every day, we should do it every day, but we do the foot chanting every day, and these lines keep it in the mind all the time when we use these requisites, when we use the robes, when we put on the robes in the morning or for service, or when we put on when we eat food, when we enter our rooms, when we take medicine, when we make a cup of tea or coffee or something like this. It is something to keep in mind. This is a form of reflection, it's a form of meditation that really helps us to overcome the asavas, overcome the influxes, and get a little bit closer to nibbana. So it's using everything as an object, but just it's not just for monks. Even lay people can use these reflections. And the more you use it, the better it is. The more you will find your life becomes a lot more minimalist, a lot more simplistic, a lot easier, a lot lighter. And I hope that you all can experience that from time to time. While taints, vexation, and fever might arise in one who does not use the requisites thus, there are no taints, vexation, or fever in one who uses them thus. These are called the taints that should be abandoned by using. So again, using the requisites in this manner can help us reduce and get rid of the taints and the vexations, the confusions, the not knowing what to do and so on, and the fevers that arise from getting too caught up in these luxuries, in these worldly things that keep us trapped in the cycle of samsara, and keep us trapped in the rat race, that keep us trapped in the grinding wheels of society. And just to be above it and rise above and be free, be unfettered, be unchained. So you won't get caught up by advertising agencies, or you won't get caught up by bosses and things like this, and all these things that try to enslave our mind, that try to cloud our beautiful luminous mind of a human being. To be above all this, we need to practice this form of using things in the right way and reflecting this. It's good, it's like our lives are so controlled nowadays. That thing called Alexa really freaks me out, where people keep this robot by their bedside and it tells them what to do all day. Like, so much control, no? So it sounds horrible. Like, it tells you when to wake up, what to eat, when to go to the toilet. It's like everything. Like, you have to get this, or you're nobody, or you're like, it's so silly, so silly. And you can be free of all this control by corporations and by governments if you follow the Buddha's words and you reflect wisely on what you're using. So we are gonna go on to the third method: abandoned by enduring. What taints bhikkhus should be abandoned by enduring? Here a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, bears cold and heat, hunger and thirst, and contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, and creeping things. He endures ill spoken, unwelcome words, and arisen body feelings that are painful, racking, sharp, piercing, disagreeable, distressing, and menacing to life, while taints, vexation, and fever might arise in one who does not endure such things. There are no taints, vexation, or fever in one who endures them. These are called the taints that should be abandoned by enduring. To endure the discomfort, the discomfortable things that we come across in life that are inevitable, like bad weather, hot and cold, fever, sickness, vaccine side effects like I'm experiencing right now. These are all things we come across. We just need to get through it, just to endure. And there is a real resilience that comes into the body and the mind of a practitioner of the Dhamma, that if you can reflect wisely, if you're mindful enough, nothing really can face you. It's like cold. Oh, it's just cold. It's just sensations. What's No point getting all up in arms about it. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit sick, but it's okay. It's not like I'm dying. It's like there is a very strong sense of inbuilt resilience to adversity that is developed in one who practices the Dhamma properly. Um, Even being told off, even like it said, unwelcome words, just being swore, like being abused verbally or something. These things do not shatter the confidence or the happiness or the well-being of a Dhamma practitioner, because endurance is something that you learn through meditation. Yeah, it's like if you have a little bit of pain in your knees, or it's a great deal of pain, we sort of learn how to observe it objectively and stay in the position. That's one of the examples. It's like we learn to objectively assess these things, and this sort of really builds up a real strength of character, of mind. This is like an exemplify, like Lord Buddha exemplifies this. There is a sutta where he was struck by a big rock and nearly shattered his feet. And this is the kind of pain that would have you screaming and screaming and crying and rolling around in the pain. But what Lord Buddha did was he just very calmly sat down, folded up his robes and put it on the side, and lied down to do meditation for a little bit. And there were witnesses who were talking about how much strength and power and courage and endurance this great elephant of a man has, and great lion of a man, and so on. For it's really describing the strength of character and mind that is obtained through the practice of the noble eightfold path, through the attainment of nibbana, or rather the cutting off the influxes. It leads to a real sense of well-being that is present no matter what situation, whether you are in a freezing cold or boiling heat, or in the middle of a of a sickness, or being or in bad company or whatever. It's like none of these things can touch you. This is such a wonderful result of the practice of Dhamma. The fourth one, I think we can get through that before we finish. What taints to be abandoned by avoiding? What taints bhikkhus should be abandoned by avoiding? Here a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, avoids a wild elephant, a wild horse, a wild bull, a wild dog, a snake, a stump, a bramble, a patch, a chasm, a cliff, a cesspit, a sewer. This is sort of a bit of common sense there. These are all things you should obviously avoid. But Lord Buddha's, I think, is sort of using it to set up the next few things that are sort of common sense but could not be. We may we may fall for those things as necessary sometimes and not avoid them. In the same way we would avoid a wild elephant or a cesspit or a sewer. So he's sort of trying to cause a little I don't know, just a little segue into the rest of the reflecting wisely. He avoids sitting on unsuitable seats, wandering to unsuitable resorts. So that's I think that's concerning the patimokkha for monks. We are not supposed to sit down in private with women with a bad idea in mind, sort of like for the sake of seduction or something. Is sort of to avoid accusations, to avoid ruining the reputation of the individual monk or the of the sangha as a whole, sort of to avoid a hashtag Me Too movement thing on the sangha. Um, this just shows you why the sangha has never been caught up in huge scandals for this reason, because we have these rules in place, and there's a lot of famous figures who got caught up in scandals, but so far the Bhikkhu Sangha has been a little bit safe, because we have methods of avoiding these things, namely this avoiding. It helps a lot to avoid. So I will go into more detail in the next session, because we are running out of time, and also my voice is getting less and less easy to use. So, thank you very much for listening today, and I hope you were able to understand clearly what was being said, and that you can practice these methods of using things wisely, of restraining the senses, and of learning the power of endurance, of not running away from difficulties, and facing them. Thank you all for listening, and see you next week. Bye.